This morning, Jeremy Frazier is going to share his story with us, which I'm super thankful for. Frazier is an easy guy to fall in love with. He wears his inside on his outside, which I love to death. But he also has done a lot of really cool things by just saying simply yes and being involved in the things that we're doing here. And he was a part of something that we did called Better Man, which takes a lot of courage, and he's just kind of staying engaged. But I just asked Jeremy, hey, what would you think about... Actually, he came up to me, he's like, dude, anytime you need me to share my story, you let me know. And I was like, how about next breakfast? So anyway, so here he is. So anyway, we get a chance to listen to him for, 10 minutes or so, and kind of just hear how... Or an hour, and just kind of hear Jesus' story on his life. So anyway, thank you, Jeremy, for doing this.
All right, absolutely. Thanks, Andy. Before I get started, I got to tell the story how me and Andy met, because that was pretty fun. I wish Justin was here. For those of you who know who Justin is, he's the one who brought this beautiful friendship together. Justin was moving. He's a mutual friend of me and Andy, and I show up to help out, and one of my friends texted my wife, and she just said, Jeremy's here with his best friend. And me and Andy, we just love life, love basketball, easy to get along with and chat with. And so she asked me, her name's Allie, she asked me, she's like, how long have you known Andy? I go, I don't know, 5 minutes. And so she texted back my wife and just said, correction, he just met his new best friend. So that's how I know Andy. And
for a while, he was in my phone as Justin's friend, so I could remember who Jeremy was. Recently, I have changed it.
Yes.
So anyway.
Yeah. But anyways, that's how I met Andy. But yeah, my story, I'm not going to really touch on my childhood. I had a good one. Parents are awesome. Very supportive. Dad was my coach. Mom, angel, right? Met my wife, got married in 2004. Had our first son in 2012. The problem was when that was going on, I was really kind of at a job that I didn't really like, kind of dead end. And I had turned to drinking to solve my problems, right? That was what was going to give me peace, numb the pain for everything that I felt that I was failing at in life. And it was really dark. It was a tough time. And then in 2014, April 15th of 2014, my wife had caught me, said I was hiding vodka around the house, and she had caught me with mixing up a drink, and she didn't want me drinking hard alcohol anymore, and turned into a fight. And I still remember the memory I have of that moment is her just bent over in the kitchen just screaming, why are you doing this to me? So this woman that wanted to spend the rest of her life with me, that loved me unconditionally, and I had been hurting her for years by doing this. And so she grabbed my son and left. And so I was sitting there about an hour or so, I don't know, time. I was half in the bag, I don't really know. Time is irrelevant. But it was pretty dark, and really thought about just ending it. Just, like I said, put a period at the end of this name, and this story, and leave Jax without a father, Steph without a husband, my parents without a son, siblings without their brother, and that seemed like the easy thing to do, because I was sick and tired of that pain. But instead, God had set forth a plan years in the making that I knew nothing about. And instead, he stepped in and had me call the one guy who could help me, which was my father-in-law, John. A lot of you know John from Grove. If you go there, great dude. He had 38 years of sobriety at the time. And I called him and I just said, I need help. And I just got done hurting his daughter, and Steph had gone over there and laid it all out, everything I'd been doing. And he had every reason not to help me, and he just said, I'll be right over. And as he knew what I was going through, he knew what type of person I could be and the type of person God wanted me to be. So he came over, and for about an hour he held up the mirror and told me everything I'd been doing. And then at the end of it, I don't remember much, but at the end of it, I do remember these two things. Jeremiah 29:11. He says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you, not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." And he read that to me, and he said, now you got to get Satan out of this house because he's having a field day with you, and you've got to turn your life over to God. And I did. I started going to church, went to the Grove. It was Easter Sunday, that Sunday. And I started paying attention and listening, right? I had failed at trying to run my plan, and I needed to start following God's plan for me. And the next, handful of years were great. Actually, more than that, the next 10 years were great. I had stuff happen. My dad had a heart attack, made it through, had a couple of friends die, but over that time, I went from before that praying to have God get me out of a situation. You do this for me and I'll do this for you, bartering with him. I had started to pray for peace, for strength, and just thanking him for everything he had done in my life. And that really came into play in end of 2023 and beginning of 2024. My mom had a brain aneurysm, bad. They call it significant, right? Whenever they say significant, that's not good. We thought she was going to die. And 2 days later, I get a call. I'm at work. My wife is at the hospital. She's like, you got to come down here. She's awake. And I got there. I turned the corner in the ICU, and she's sitting on the bed. And she goes, "Hey, Jeremy." And that was beautiful. One of the nurses, my wife told me, one of the nurses was holding my wife, and just crying, saying, "We never get to see this. This never happens." It does when your God can do all things. I see these. I recognize these. And God gave me that gift. And I love it. The next 2 months were a roller coaster. Mom fought like hell. She got out of the hospital on January 9th. And I got to watch my dad and my mom walk up the stairs as he's helping her and I'm helping my dad. And they get in the chair and they just have this embrace. They're finally home. My mom worked her butt off to get home so she could be there with her grandkids. And my dad was there every step of the way helping her because she still wasn't strong enough to walk on her own, nothing, for the next 2 months, sorry. She was making real good progress, but then she had a fall. My dad didn't catch her. He felt horrible about it. And that was the day we had to say goodbye to my mom. It was too much for her. And then dad took that hard. Took it real hard. And 23 days later, I got a call from my baby sister while I was at work, screaming that Dad had hung himself. And my baby sister, who I'm trying to protect for my whole life, is the one that was there to see that, which was just hell. So me and my siblings, I got an older sister, younger brother, younger sister. Thankfully, my parents raised us right. We're all close. We had no will. We had no direction. But we banded together. We got everything. We went into work mode and got the estate closed out, the house sold, closing the house in August of 2024, end of August. And then I went just, right? And my personality started to change. I started to get quiet. This guy that was always happy and smiling, I was still doing that out in public, but it was work. And I kept praying for peace and for strength, and thank you for the time I had with my parents. And then something beautiful happened because my son, I had two sons, now, Bryce, who I call him the miracle baby because if I haven't gotten sober, the world wouldn't have seen Bryce, and everybody who meets Bryce says he's the coolest kid I've ever met, right? He's a pain. He's got his wife's personality. He's hard-headed, but man, he is awesome. But Jackson had worked his butt off, my oldest son. He wanted to get on the same team as his best friend, Ricky, and he did it. And that brought Andy back into my life. I kept praying for peace and strength, and God had a plan, and here's his plan, and now we're going forward. And then I got to meet Tyler, which is awesome too. Not going to leave you out. Oh, they got to meet Mike. Yeah. Anyways, but through that time, through October, November, December, as I'm going through the holidays, I'm feeling all these feels. It's the first time going through everything, and I just kept praying and praying and praying. And then Andy walks up to me one day and just says, "You want to join Better Man?" I said, yes. He said, "You want to come to these Saturday mornings?" I said, yes. "You want to come to a men's conference at the Grove?" I said, yes. There's a theme here. He says, you want to join a Bible study? I said, yes. He says, "You want to tell your story?" I said, yes. God is putting this path in front of me the whole way, all these things that will help me. And I could easily say no and get comfortable and stay in that place. But I kept saying yes because over the last 11 years, every time I've said yes to something God's put in front of me, it's helped me out. It's given me that peace. It's given me that strength. It's put this smile back on my face, and I'm able to laugh and not have it be work. Mm-hmm. And I am so blessed that happened. I'll end it with this. In 2009, I lost my job. I turned to alcohol, trying to get peace. Didn't happen. In 2014 and 2024, I turned to God for peace and for strength, and it happened. That's why I keep studying His Word. That's why I keep showing up to these things. That's why I keep listening when I go to church. That's why I started doing the actual text commentaries and study guides instead of just reading it. Because every time I've leaned in when something's gone wrong, I've gotten that peace and I've gotten that strength. I'm not supposed to be here now. But God wasn't done with me yet. And thank God He wasn't, because right now I'm living a beautiful life, and I still miss my parents every day. But everybody who comes in fills that little bit of a hole that I got in my heart, and helps me continue to just have joy and happiness. And so that's why I try and spread it. That's why I act the way I am, because I'm blessed to be here, and I want everybody to feel that same happiness that I have in my heart. So that's my story. Come on.